now, right? Yeah. Okay, good morning, everybody. I'd like to call to order a meeting of the Board of Directors of the Orleans County Industrial Development Agency on this Friday, January 14th, 2022 at 8:08 a.m. Diane, if you would, please, roll call.
So everyone's here but John Fitzak and Carol D'Agostino.
Okay, so we do have a quorum. Moving right along, you all received a copy of the previous board minutes of December 10th, 2021. Any additions, corrections, or deletions to those minutes? If not, I'd be happy to entertain a motion to accept the minutes. Motion made by John, seconded by Skip. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion is unanimously carried. Moving on, financials, Michael.
Yes, so before we finish up at the end of the year, the IDA bank account rounded out at 79,529.08. Our pilot account 407,480.20. Revolving loan fund 19,950.49. Land Rest Corporation 133,726.51, and in our gain account 139,858.66 on that. Morning, Carol.
Good morning, Carol.
Good morning. Sorry, I went into the office first.
A couple of things to touch on with profit and loss. Heavy expense month in terms of a couple of things, but it really comes down to revenues for December. We didn't have those comparative to last year. Last year, we got 50% upfront for Western New York Energy with their project. So that's a big difference when you're looking at December comparative to the same time last year on the budget performance sheet. And but everything else, expense-wise, is relatively the same. And as you move into our balance sheet, you'll notice when we look at total assets, we're down roughly 300,000, and that comes down back to the agency checking account. Big difference year over year. But when you look at overall liabilities and equity, it's pretty comparable to that big difference of the agency checking account not having cash funds, which, you know, we'll get there. It's just going to take some time this year to prop that up. But we're making, Diane and I are making sure we're staying on top of minimal expenses that are not necessary for the first few months this year as we move throughout, and then as funds come in, we can start delegating towards projects or expenses that we need to do for business park and so on and so forth. So we're on top of that at that standpoint. As we move along, as I mentioned, revolving loan fund, we're at 19,950. Balance sheet, not much change on that. We'll take shape. Our agent's good as well. And that is all I have for financials. Any questions?
The line of credit still out for MT. When do you think we could just have to look for positive cash flow, or
You mean as far as we have a line of credit that we
yeah,
have to pay?
is it paid? It's not paid off though, is it?
The M&T one,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
That
it's all
was-
paid
that
off,
was
yeah.
30,000, that's been paid off for quite a while.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
we can use it, you know, if we need to.
Yeah, that's
'Cause I was just looking at the balance sheet here. It had 35,000 still listed on the line of credit. It's a current liability. Probably NFC.
Yeah.
let me look into that.
Yeah, because it's still on there.
Could be a auditor's
Good
fee.
catch.
I know with QuickBooks, it's sometimes, I bet you 90% of people I work with are liabilities are not correct on QuickBooks, and then year-end accountants always fix it.
Yeah, good catch.
Yeah, yeah, the auditor is
Yeah.
always, you know, they-
Okay. Perfect.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, we have to entertain a motion to accept the financials. Motion made by John, seconded by Skip. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion is unanimously carried. Moving on, committee reports, business development. Good morning, Gabriel.
Good morning. We'll start with CW Cold Storage in Murray. They're moving to finalize their construction costs and financing. They have requested a project meeting with us to determine permitting, incentives, and timeline. So that's moving along. Very well. Stockham Lumber. Stockham has entered into an agreement, an accepted purchase offer on the former Snappy complex here in Medina. Medina will be a satellite site to their main facility in Holly. But they were going to lease, and then the cost of the lease, they decided, no, they're going to purchase. So I think that their projections show that they will be, they have a sales force in Niagara County, Erie County, and Genesee County. And they believe that they will be, their projections as far as revenue takes into consideration the outlying additional business that they will be picking up. So we've introduced them to Martin Janda. Martin is doing their site plan to go before the village board, and they are very anxious to keep that moving. So that has been the third purchase offer in a year. But this one, I think, is going to be fine. And they're also still looking forward to their team track in Holly. So Holly's not going to change at all. It still is their main hub. They're looking forward to our, working with them towards that team track. The hotel project, Medina Hospitality, as some of you know, has been on site, and work crews continue to prepare for opening. The hotel flag has changed. Medina Hospitality entered into an agreement with the Choice Hotel Group. Our hotel will be a Comfort Inn and Suites. And we will keep you informed as there will be additional information to share in the very near future. And I'm going to arrange to take everyone through. Prior to, they've done a lot of work, gotten a lot of things ready. They're waiting to do the reinstallation of all the room and the showers, and it's been quite an event. They do have a temporary CFO from the village of Medina. The site work cannot be completed until spring, but they will be opening, and so we're going along with that. So it will not be they were severing they no longer have a relationship.
But there's litigation involved with the old.
I would expect so.
Sure sounds like it.
I just say, get this open.
You know, the place that Fairfield Inn right across from my office in Batavia is still not open. That's been
Really?
3 years, and they have like one guy working. It's like, I can't imagine the negative cash flow on that.
Well, the Medina Hospitality Group came in. They are financing a lot of repairs that should have been done initially that weren't, some extensive repairs. They came in and taking control, and they brought in crews from Pennsylvania because we couldn't supply enough labor here. We tried to, but they brought in their crews from Pennsylvania to finish.
So there must be money behind them now.
They haven't got their final financing yet, but this is the investor group.
Yeah.
The investor group. I've always had great confidence in that investor group. They're the ones that are,
Providing the funds.
they are providing the funds.
Where did the whole process break down? I'm still confused.
It certainly broke down. They had a commitment with one of our local banks. It didn't materialize the way they thought that would. That was right before COVID. Then COVID hit. Then Brymark said, I'm going to come in and do some work. And I'll come in. And they came in and did some work, and now there's an issue between Brymark and Medina Hospitality. But that's where it broke down. The original financing went away. They still have SBA. They're still working with Pursuit Pursuit's still in it, SBA is still in it. And I believe that they will have a bank very shortly. But they are going ahead.
I wonder what kind of leak that.
Well, you know what? When they finish it up, you'll see, you know, well, I'll take you over there and you might as well talk with them. I think you'll have a very enlightened conversation, but they said enough. So, and they've had quite a bit of, work to complete. So it's been an event. Let's put it that way.
So it's good news. It's good news.
It's good news. yeah.
Well, it is good news. They,
Usually These things don't turn out that way. Usually they end up on the courthouse steps.
well, the investor group was here again last week and they finished up some things that they wanted to do. They're very particular about things. And there's a lot of work that is being redone,
There's
a
another
lot of
suit.
extensively.
For a while, it's only been one truck there, but lately, the last few weeks, it's been 3.
There's been 3, there were probably more there in one truck. There were probably 3 different, but they had to bring in crews from electricians and they tried to work here, but everybody's committed. And where they could, and Jen Hill came in and did some extra work for them. They've been working one-on-one with the Village of Medina. So I think you'll see Mayor Sederi, as I told him yesterday, take his rightful place. And I think there's probably been hundreds of calls between myself and the mayor, but
Well, I really appreciate and good for us, the tenacity
Yeah,
of that investor group to stick with it.
yeah, exactly. Usually these things.
I'm out of doubt.
Yeah, the Dodge, nothing's at the courthouse steps.
they felt that everyone has cooperated with them. We've cooperated with them. They certainly felt Medina has cooperated with them. There have been some strong differences in how things should have been done. And we had the primary, the managing partner have a heart attack in the middle of this. And he's in his early 50s. So, there's been a lot of different, but he's here, he's on site. He just went back yesterday for a couple of days, but they've all been down. They have been actually scrubbing the floors manually, some of them. This is a group that they're very, I've had a great deal of faith in them and they have not disappointed. They're all doing what they need to do and they handed up quite a bit of money to do what had to be done because it required it. But I thought it was going to go, could have gone that way. Maybe, who
Yeah, it
knows?
started off right with a bank pulling a commitment like that. It's tough.
Well,
You got a commitment letter, you think you're all set.
and they did have the, so
Yeah.
then they have an attorney here. They have attorneys in Buffalo and they have attorneys in Washington.
And I never pulled a commitment for 40 years. Because that's bad. I mean, that really, it's not good for your bank or anything else.
Well, so they're going, and I can tell you that Comfort Inn Suites really wanted this site and they have made it extremely attractive. They were looking for something in the area. They made it extremely attractive to do this. And when they saw the hotel, they wanted it all more. And their hotel in St. Mary's is one of the top hotels within the Cobblestone chain consistently, volume-wise, even when some of the others have been lagging. They take care of things. The minute there's a scratch, it's taken care of. They are very customer oriented.
Well, and this will give them a national exposure as well. Having that brand name with them.
Well, they Comfort did a lot too, and they called me when Comfort was there. They said, "Can you stop by?" And Comfort's here, so I took my property in, took my stuff, met with them and chatted with them, and they were very. We explained about the business park, some of the things that we're doing, and they couldn't. Then they called back and they sweetened the deal that afternoon, and they closed on it. So we're on our way. So that takes care of the hotel. Zambistro is continuing. They will start their construction into the neighboring building very shortly. He's in no rush. He wants to do it this spring, but that's moving along. We're, you know, that's going the way it should. Burns and Matic was out there in 8 degrees the other day. Legislator Alport called and he said he wanted to take his yearly tour, so we met him over there. Burns and Matic is waiting to close on their permanent rail easement. They have to close by the end of the month. That has to happen so that they can start working on the rail spur. I would invite everyone, Michael and I have been talking about it, as you can, please give us a call. We want to take you over there. We want you to show, we want you to, everyone to see what's going on there. What he's accomplished so far, what's happening next. And he's doing everything that he said he was going to do, then some. So I think you're going to be very pleasantly surprised. And we stopped over, walked through Snappy, and they are certainly, their inventory is stunning. I mean, they're getting ready, and they certainly are. They certainly have been hiring. And the Snappy has a very attractive benefit package, but they're finding that folks that they're trying to recruit are just really want more money up front and less benefit package. So I don't know what we do, but that was as of the other day. We met with Bomet. We met with them on site at the team track in Medina. They explained to us that he can't really start Medina till we figure out transportation to bring in large volumes of product for him from the Midwest, because it's, what was he saying, Michael, as far as the cost of some of that truck transport?
It was cheaper to drive into Canada and pay the duties than it was to come across country from Wisconsin or Michigan to Western Europe. It was just crazy. And then one thing Bo was telling us, that even going to his Albion site, it's cheaper for him to hire logistics to go into Canada, offload it, load it back on, and bring it back down to Albion. It's cheaper than to just go straight to Albion, where they're coming from.
Wow. Everything's all screwed up. I know, like apples right now, it's cost, the transportation from Washington is like twice what the value of that apple inside that.
And that's what it comes down to. The product that he's bringing in, the margin on it is just so minimal that any savings he can get is gold to him. And I think him talking with GBT and CSX on rail is going to pay dividends. And I think you alluded to it previously, is that he could potentially increase his site size if the logistics work out to a cost standpoint that benefits him greatly.
That'd be another 10
Problem is,
acres.
rail's all backed up too.
Well, and he said he can wait. He can wait. Sockham can wait for their lumber to buy volume. He can wait. So, and we've got a couple of other, you know, so I think the rail is coming back into a position in the county that is extremely interesting.
The stack I'm gonna use that wholesale. Yeah.
They haven't told me what they're doing at the other end. I don't know if it's all usable.
Well, that's what I'm really asking.
I
think
don't
some of that
think it
needs to be
is.
knocked
They
out.
may not do anything right away, but they have, one of the stipulations that I said, look, we're working with you. You're going to have, you need to get somebody in here, you know, an engineer, or, you know, a site engineer to lay this out before you go to the village board or before you go to the
On
county.
the west side, wasn't it?
Yes,
The
they're
west side
they're
was
using
along there.
that. Oh, they're
Yeah,
definitely
I think the
using
rest of
that.
it, they're, you know,
I think
yeah.
they will be projecting, they're going to be hiring, I think, at least 8 people. He's hopefully he can find 8. And he said, his opinion is that they're not ready for the additional, that it's going to be a challenge with the additional business they're going to have. They have very high expectations. They've been in this market for quite some time. So, and you have 2, I think the 2 brothers are now in partnership on this. They know what they're doing, and they have a plan, and they're going to be, but we are making certain that our projects going forward are working with the right people initially on these site plans. So that when you get before the boards and you start this work, it's done professionally. So they have retained Martin Janda from BME, who does a lot of our work. And he'll be doing that. So I think that's going to move along okay. Their purchase offers accepted. I think they're very bankable, and we're going to be looking at what they're going to be needing from us potentially.
What's interesting is when looking at the building, I can imagine if Snappy moved over to First Matter, they would have gotten way more efficient.
Oh, they had to.
Yeah, way more efficient.
Snappy's out of space. They have first dibs on the 30,000 square feet that Kyle Brent has. They have first dibs on that. So they may be expanding their operation when Kyle Brent is building a new facility in Niagara County. And Snappy would move over there. And if they don't, that's no issue because we could fill it very quickly. And the rail that's proposed will run along that backside, service Snappy, and then over to the vacant land that there's going to be a new development on that. And we'll show that all to you when you have some time. Just email me. And Kyle wants to walk everyone through so they understand. There's old buildings there on the site that were prisoner of war camps. Those are all going away. And he's now has about 40 acres there and adding to it.
That's the advantage this area has with transportation being so expensive because we're so close to metropolitan areas that, by having the ability to be close I know it's helping out a lot of the growers because they don't have to, they can't bring product in from other areas because costs are just too expensive.
You think you can ship apples and that type of thing if it's, they have refrigerated cars?
Yeah, but the cost is so expensive. What happens? It's driven up the price to our growers.
I see.
Because Washington used to bring a lot in, but it's so costly now. Same thing with onions. That our local guys were made out because the fact is that you got to add that cost. Like it's $10 to ship a bag of onions right now. Yeah, from the West Coast. So our guys were only normally getting $9. They're getting 19 now because the cost of transportation is so high right now. The only thing is it's more, that versus rail, that's why they eliminated the rail service because it just was taking too long by now. And the things were spoiling. So it's helped out our locals.
Yeah, I would think so.
So that, I think you're going to see Beaumont entertain very seriously another 10 acres. And they would have to adjust their building plan, but he takes a while, but he doesn't extend his thoughts that easily without following through on them. So I think that once we get this rail, and I think he's probably pretty close to getting that straightened out. Narby's cottages at the Oak Orchard, that's gone quiet right now. We also are working with there's the former White Brothers property in Medina, 450 West Oak Orchard Street. That's the owners of that property are looking at developing it. We asked Martin Janda to walk that area for us. It's about 50 acres. It borders the village of Medina, town Shelby. There's right away out to Salt Works Road. And
Is that industrial? Is
um,
that its own industrial?
light industrial, right.
How clean is it?
Well, what we did, we had Martin walk it first. Then we arranged for a conference call and Martin explained to them what he found just walking it. The owners are meeting with BME today. They're going to engage BME to go in and start doing site development. Looking at what needs to be done, if there are any issues, how to attend to the issues. The owners have apartment and townhouse developments in Pennsylvania, Virginia, and in the process of completing, hoping to complete one in Maryland. So that's what they're looking at.
Who are the owners?
Clay Seek,
Yeah, Claymore Seek and Michael and
and Michael.
Ed's dead, but that Claymore Seek's from Maryland. Big greenhouse operator down there. So I think a lot of the sites is converted to, because it's right around Alexander that developed it big time. So I'm sure we converted those greenhouse sites to, just like this one has, to apartments.
So they don't have any local contact, I mean, any local roots from out of town?
Oh, no, Michael's from Niagara County. They have several employees from Medina that are working at their facility in Depew, I think. So, and they have been long-term employees. These employees were working there when it was White Brothers.
Yeah.
So he's very familiar with the area. They seem to, they're very committed to this. I think you'll see if there's going to be an engagement with BME, and then BME can do the due diligence and they take it from there.
He bought a lot of land, or actually sites, just north of, on Transit Road, just north of the freeway. And when there was nothing going on there, so you can imagine what happened with that, those sites, because it's all built. Yeah, he was. I helped him along on those things, so.
That's what he said. And he
Yeah.
was very clear that, you know, he mentioned you a couple of times, as I think I forwarded one of those emails on to you.
Yeah.
So that's happened in the last month.
What kind of housing will it be? Or
Well,
who is it targeting? I guess?
they're looking at townhouses, probably, or apartments. I don't think they've defined that yet. I think Martin Janda, after he walked it, might have a different suggestion for them, based on what he believes the area that the ground and the infrastructure will support. It could be, you remember, you're near the rail there too.
Yeah, right by the rail, yeah.
So you've got a couple of, I think we could win either way. And they seem to be, they've initiated all of this, and they initiated the contact with us through Zambistro, or Zambito Realty, not Zambistro, Zambito Realty. And this Michael lives in Niagara County. So they're from there. He said, and this is the way he put it. He said, I know what Medina is, and I know what Medina isn't. And we're prepared to go forward with this and invest. We'll see
Yeah,
where it goes.
Claymore Seek really has some deep pockets.
So we are very, we're very hopeful that will, and they're with the right folks.
Yeah, they've done this before.
And earlier this week, I sat with Jim Bensley, County Planning, and I said, these are the projects that are coming to you. And this is, we talked some things through so that when they get to the county, I think that, we're doing more open communication or trying to bridge. And I said, there's some expectations that we have of our projects. And when they get to you, this is what you need, this is what they need to have. And please, we're trying to be more thoughtful and more consistent with what the expectation is on some of these site plans. So, I have looked at some other things in the past, and if we're going to help you, this is what you're going to do. So
Did
put
he
in your
share
budget.
with you He might be out for a little bit.
Pardon me?
Did he share with you he might be out for a little?
No, he didn't.
He might.
Okay. Well,
And I expect him to be back quickly, but he's got a couple of things he needs to take care of.
well, his health has been,
It's an extension of that.
yes, and he was he loves being involved, and we're just trying to meet with our planning boards and meet with our town boards to say, so it lessens the, it's gonna flow better, flow more efficiently, I hope.
That makes a whole lot of sense. And Jim works very closely with Corey too, so there should be.
Corey Major?
Yeah.
Yes,
Should be.
and Corey's
seamless.
there.
Corey's there. And should be seamless in terms of the support that we get from them.
Yes.
So,
I just think some of our I just think that we need to make sure that the i's are dotted and the t's are crossed before it even gets to the town planning board. That's, I think I need to explain more.
We've been down that road.
I'm micromanaging a little bit.
I'm not gonna say that.
But so, and no one seems to have any objections, so, we're telling them right up front, this is what you need to do, put that in your budget. And I don't care who you use, but this is what you're gonna do. So, and, Michael had more tenacity than I. We met, at the, Holly Business Park this week. And with again, our site engineers, Martin Shanda, and it was 8 degrees. And
I think the wind chill factor was -8.
I
Oh.
talked with Michael right after that, and his teeth were still chattering.
That was a bad day.
Yeah.
It was.
They had a tour of one of our biggest, our senior management looked at a dairy that day, a
Oh.
big dairy. It was really, really cold. It's the same day.
well, Michael walked, Rebecca was there, who's BME's project engineer, Martin, who is their site person, and the project that we're dealing with that you'll hear more about. They walked the entire site. I pulled up, I looked around, I said, well, I arranged this meeting. I'll see you over at the town of Murray. I'll get the room warm for you. So we've got that underway, and we'll talk more about that later. But again, we've got that going in a very organized manner. Any questions?
Okay. Good.
I
Let's
just
move.
want to let you know, I almost called last week. And I thought I shouldn't bother Michael or Gay when I came. I'm by the hotel multiple times a day, going either to my sister's or to Elview. And at one trip by, there was a fire truck, an ambulance, and 2 police cars at the hotel.
Oh, boy.
I
Oh,
thought,
wow.
holy night, because those crews are in there working, but a car had gone off the road. They were just taking care of it, but I thought,
Oh, yeah.
what else is gonna happen?
Oh, my
Well,
God.
Booker was there and he texted me and he said someone had a health incident
Yeah.
while they were driving, and fortunately did not hit, didn't injure themselves.
Yeah.
But then he called the fire department and they came
So
out.
he must have been there when I.
He
drove
was
by.
there.
Yep.
Yeah,
If you see the red truck there, that he's there.
gotcha.
But all of us, we'll be taking everybody through shortly. And when the weather improves a little bit, then call me. We're going to do the walk over at Burns-O-Matic. We're going to do the Medina Park, and we're going to look at some other things. And I think everybody needs to get acquainted with what the team track is and isn't. But we got lots of stuff.
Yes, indeed.
We're moving.
I do have one question. for
Yes.
you. Hemlock Ridge Solar. Do we have a solar policy like we have a wind policy?
Yes.
And what is that policy?
Our policy is that we don't step into a project until the towns or villages invite us in. And that just happened. We had Town of Barry sent us a letter inviting us in for a pilot. Town of Shelby just sent theirs end of last month, signed it from their attorney, asking the IDA to step in and assist with this project. So we'll be meeting later this month. All the taxing jurisdictions, which will be 6 in this, to sit down and start talking about the pilot, what they want, what are they looking for, and how do we help get them there, making them feel like they're whole with this project. So
And what's the minimum size or threshold for getting? a pilot?
as far as a dollar per megawatt,
Yeah.
it ranges. I was looking at NYSERDA website, and they've got some new calculations that they're working off of with this size of scope. The low end's around 1,700. The high end, I was looking at their figures, is a plus 5,000. Somewhere in there, not to say they couldn't get any more than that. The Excelsior project down in Genesee County, I believe, is at 6,500 per megawatt. So, but they're also 280 megawatt project, where this is a 200 megawatt project. So there's varying degrees on how much stock you put into what the figures say, because it's all really relative to what a developer's willing to pay. So there is some range, there is some kind of background to justification for it, but really it doesn't come down to what the developer wants to commit to and on that end.
Yeah, there's been some curveballs thrown in on that. They were paying very low wages. In fact, Mexican crews coming in, putting in these solars, they have to go to prevailing wage now. I think that's put some of these developments. You know, the cost is gonna change labor wise.
Yeah.
Did they ever hook up sweat roads? Is that still
Sweat Road?
the lines last I knew were on the ground, they weren't even hooked up. It's been 6, 7 months.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, when you start seeing projects with, you know, the not hooked into the grid, it's like, what's going on? I know the one in Medina and Kenny Baker's, they try to renegotiate the rate, but then Kenny, you're not gonna win on this one. So they're coming there, knocking at your door to go to a different style, they're obviously not getting the cash flow they expected.
Wow. Wow.
I was just gonna tell you, there's 11 projects in various stages.
11.
I knew there was a large number, I didn't know.
That's community solar too, Skip.
I don't know what all includes,
Yeah,
but I know there's
all
11.
LLC with no, they can easily go bankrupt.
So they're using the 487 process then. I think most of them are.
Could be. I'm not
Yeah.
familiar with all that. I just know that there's 11. in
Look at all the ones in
different
Genesee County too.
One is enormous. It's 1,200 acres.
Oh, is that, what is that?
Yeah, that's the Shelby Berry.
Yeah, it's Shelby Berry. That's what Hemlock is. That's Hemlock, right?
My son-in-law installs solar for a living. He's an electrician. He's working in Batavia someplace at some solar area right now. And he says that a lot of these companies are coming in and their margins are so close. He works for Elcano, so it's been established. He goes, you're gonna see these companies going out of business.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
Yeah, they don't know what they're doing. They're underbidding, so getting it, but there's gonna be some issues with it.
Yeah, and it's gonna be interesting to see because these farmers are getting paid like $2,000 an acre with 2% escalating clauses on that per acre per year.
Yep.
And I said, well, you know, when you go to bankruptcy court and
Right.
the contract gets renegotiated, it's whatever could cash flow, could be $50.
Yeah.
Don't
Don't spend it all in one
Yeah,
place.
don't plan on it.
Yeah,
And then you could have a giant mess on your farm too.
yeah.
Well, that's the other thing, the decommissioning of.
Because if
These
companies
things.
go out of business, but you can't go after them
Yeah,
and say,
yeah,
okay,
nothing
this
to
was
do,
in
yeah.
your contract, there's
Yeah.
nothing you're gonna do.
And there's no bonding company that can bond out that long and give you a bond that long with weak economics.
So we're seeing this happen over and over again, so it'll be interesting to see how
Yeah.
this all shakes out.
I think you'll see consolidation in that industry,
Yeah,
which is a
Yeah.
little different than going out of business, right?
Yeah.
So there are, I think to Carol's point, solar companies that are coming in and they're putting these things in and then they're cashing out,
Yeah,
right?
that's
So,
what they all try to do. yeah.
right, so they go in, they install it,
Right.
and then they sell their interest
That's right.
in the projects to
Mhm.
folks that are probably better, that they manage it as an income stream.
Mhm.
Right, because it's a steady income stream and, you know, if the economics work, you know, and you are seeing that in the industry. So there's a lot of these projects. I'm not surprised there's 11 in the county. I
Yeah.
mean, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
So,
It's gonna evolve. I
Yeah.
think this is-
well, and the state has taken a position that they, as a policy choice, want this.
Mhm.
It's gonna
So,
cost a lot
so
more
that's
money,
why
yeah.
it's a gold rush in some
Mhm.
respects, right? People
a
look at
free
New York
money
and
out
say, I'm coming because there's an incentive to do so.
Yeah, at a higher cost to
Right.
whoever
They
buys
put in a
like it.
solar farm in, my son-in-law worked on it in Hamlin, and they're bringing people in from California to work out there, housing and stuff, and it's
Wow.
really, it's an interesting, from his perspective, you know, it's an interesting world
Mhm.
right now.
Right.
And like you say, they're throwing money at this, so there's all that money that, you know, different organizations are trying to do.
Mhm.
On the vein, I know it's not on the agenda, but Kathy Wogan gave us the update, gave the legislature an update yesterday and told us about these 11 projects. She had a letter that somebody sent her.
Genevieve?
Genevieve Trigg.
Is it the Long Bridge Road project, LB?
Yes,
Asking for a resolution for us to do a sales tax exemption, and we said, Kathy, we don't do that, the IPA does. Whoever brought this to Kathy, said, well, Gabriel sent them to Kathy, and I said,
No,
it
No.
doesn't sound right. I'll ask tomorrow morning at the meeting.
We have multiple emails with Genevieve. We have told her what the policy is. She believes that she believes that she can go to Kathy and get this.
Oh, that's
what she
what that
wants.
was.
So we're
We-
well aware of this.
I think we've told her a half dozen times in different ways that
And
we need
sent her the letter.
the letter from the town needs to sign off and complete it, and asking the IDA to step in, and it just, I don't know.
I suspect maybe the town is not cooperating and she thinks that she's circumventing. We've been, how many have
Okay.
you seen?
Well,
At least a half dozen.
is
Yeah,
it all right? Can I have Kathy call one of you guys?
absolutely.
Oh,
Have
yeah.
a comment, well, send her the letter or, I will send her,
She said, you know anything? I said, they're all saying, we've never done a sales tax extension. I go, well, the IDA does, but they wouldn't send them to us. That doesn't sound
I
right.
know,
Really?
yeah, we have her on 2 or 3 other deals.
pardon me?
I'm working with her on a couple other deals, including solar deals. So if you want my help. I can
Oh,
reach
yeah,
out to
well,
her.
if you can, you know what, she's
It's
had
an
this,
easy call.
we have gone through what the IDA's policy is. She has the IDA policy. We've been through this, but for some reason, I think that's probably at the town level, the town
Yeah.
is not signing off.
Mhm.
And
Is that what she
therefore,
told
that's
Daddy?
what she's doing.
Gabriel sent me to you.
Wrong
Oh.
statement.
Yeah, I said.
Fine.
"That doesn't sound right."
Mhm.
No, I did not at all.
I'll send you the email.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. We'll get Kevin involved.
Oh, yeah, well, that's it.
I'll bet you were laughing.
I did, I said, we've never done an exemption before, and I go, well, it doesn't mean we can't, I don't know if we can or not, but I said, the IDA does, I don't know why the ledge would, the IDA can do that. He said,
No.
well,
Yeah, I
Gabriel sent her to us, I go, yeah, it doesn't sound.
I think that's pretty much out of your privilege.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to move on to project updates then?
Yeah. John, thanks for bringing up Hemlock. That's where we stand right now. So we're gonna get together and convene on that topic more. And then Hemlock, Neil has, from the developer standpoint, has reached out to us and requested a project form and what our fee policy is to start being including us on what the project scope will be. So we're hoping in the coming months, we'll see what that will be. We'll start working with Neil on that and as well. Heritage Wind, ORS just approved the site permit for the wind project. So that was official as of yesterday. Big news on that. So it's the actual first wind project that they've approved. So it'll be interesting moving forward how things roll out, change. I know last I knew there's one out towards the Albany area down into the bay, a big one. I mean, that's 10 times bigger than what this will be, but that's also in the pipeline. But for this project for Orleans County, that's where that stands. Where that's Big Guys Camping. We just received notice that they have a commitment letter from a bank. So that should be closing here in the coming months, which is great news for us. I talked with Jim and Laura yesterday. Their developer Earth Tech is doing a lot of the site work. Everything's moving along nicely. They're still working out there, and this temperatures getting things done. So that was good to see. So we'll get out there and see that once snow breaks and start to see how it's all coming together with some landscaping and items out that way. So it's moving along nicely. And then the strategic plan project that Jim had started for the Medina Business Park. Jim had submitted an application through CFA back in 2014 or 15, I believe. And there was a $600,000 grant part of that. And it really came down to us having funding to do the matching with that and really develop the infrastructure with that. Greg Albert from ESD had reached out to me and explained to me, hey, it's been extended, what's going on? Because it was meant for an ag-based project. And one of the things talking with Greg about is, listen, we're tight on cash. We don't have funding to really do a lot of spending right now. But there's some things in the pipeline, if we could potentially change the scope on this project, we might have something that would fit into what would fit this grant, if you would allow us to. And this where it ties in with BOMET, is that while it's not ag based, it is a project that's going to create 25 plus jobs for the county and have X amount of revenue spent in the local area. And Greg and Sharon are actually going to work with us and see the possibility of maybe it's not our funding that's putting on the extension of Marcia Tui Way or extending the water and sewer into the park further off of Marcia Tui. Potentially it's BOMET doing that. Potentially BOMET could then help get that grant available by their spending and help offset some of their costs of their development. So it was nice to hear ESD say, hey, while we can't guarantee that you'll get the full 600,000 as a grant, we'll at least try to work with you and review the scope and what it's going to cost the developer and you guys to make this possible. And we might be able to give a portion of that or a percentage of that towards you and keep that grant and not lose it. So that's something with me and Gabe were talking about how it would help influence Bo and potentially spur more interest of getting this extra parcel of land purchased more quickly. So that's in the works with that project, and obviously that'd be paid huge dividends. And as we look at the rail, we touched on that a little bit. Still working with Dennis and Urban Anthony on the Northern Borders rail grant. The Medina team track, and now they're starting to have interest in the team track in Holly. So we've heard through the grapevine, there's a couple other interests that would help that development. This grant is paying for that development, that team track, but it's good to hear that there's been other people have talked about, well, yeah, if there was a spur here, I could think about bringing in X number of cars or potentially to help my business, to help me source and get better pricing on goods and services, goods through rail. So I think as we start to get out in the community and start talking further with people in our area for our local businesses, it could then generate that team track to really be useful in Holly to a full extent. And you know, stock and lumber, you know, it's going to be a big component of that, and it's a few others. So that was good to see, and that's, you know, trending in the right direction on that end. But that's what I have for projects.
Questions or comments? Okay, a lot of exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Coming down the pipe. That's great to hear. Moving on, facilities and sites.
No other updates than what we're kind of talked about.
Okay, Diane, map and IBC report, please.
Okay, so the next class starts on April 5th, runs through June 14th. I've already got 11 people interested in the next class. The grants so far, I've given out 170,000. The Blackstone, 12,000. Even Pages Media Marketing, 12,000. Upscale Overcott, 15. Woodham's Just Designs, 15,000. Pretty Sweet Bakery, 15,000. Studio 11. Hair Salon, 15,000. Lyric and Lizzie Boutique, 15,000. Liz Carl Cocktail Company, 15,000. Laura Loxley Vintage Inspired Good, 20,000. I'm working on the last two grants, Horse and Around. I met with her a couple days ago. 15,000, and Wildflower Deli and Bakery, 21,000, which will end the grant. And I'm planning on applying for another one. So the state still has tons of money, and I said, how long can we keep this going? And they said, until we run out of money. And that's never, ever happened. I have 2 years to get these grants through. And, you know, they told me, Diane, hurry up and do this. So I did 6 months, got all the grants spent, and I'm going to spend some more.
Great, I love it.
So when a company gets a grant, if you get another grant, can they still?
No,
No,
one
so it's
time.
one time.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I've already got 4 businesses that want,
They're ready.
they're ready
Yeah,
for the
because
next
it's-
grant.
If they don't pay this money back, it's a grant.
Right, it's a grant, no, no.
So
And you know,
Why wouldn't they? want
we
it?
can, we
Get as much money in the county as you
Oh,
can in
yeah.
the county,
And
right?
really, it's how
Yeah.
these
exact- yeah,
businesses, they were dying because of COVID.
Yeah,
And now that
Yeah,
they've
sure.
gotten this grant, they are booming. And I had a grant participant luncheon Tuesday. And so there's gonna be an article about what they did with the grant, you know, how the micro helped them out,
sure,
which, you know, right?
yeah.
So
It's great.
so that's exciting. The total funds in my HUD unrestricted is 490897, and the money market, it's really 35,963.93. And I did ask for the county for help to maintain my program, and they approved 20,000, which I should get next week.
Nice.
I mean, I've never asked for help before because I used to have loan money coming in. Now I don't have that. And when I do these grants, it does cost my program at least 6,000 to 10,000 out of my own account, the high interest account. And pretty soon I'm gonna run out of money. So I asked the county and they approved that, and hopefully I'd like to add that on our budget yearly. I did talk to Lynn Johnson, and so,
It's essential that with all these regulation and rules to operate a business, you need to have some training. That's what that program does.
oh my God, well, yeah, and.
And then the grants allow them to take that training,
Yeah.
gives them an infusion of a little bit of working capital to start off, and
Right.
they
yeah.
fly. So it's perfect. It's perfect storm, if you want to think of it that way.
Well,
Absolutely.
Yeah, so,
It's essential that people know how to operate and what forms they need to file, because you see these people get behind and start getting fines.
Yep.
and besides that, they start these businesses with maybe 5,000, and this COVID, that's attacked all the businesses. And the ones that made it through, I gotta give them a lot of credit. I mean, you know, through COVID, and they're still operating, so this little boost of income, fantastic, yeah. so.
Well, and thanks to our county legislators to give us some of that administrative money for the grants. That simply allows more money to go directly to the businesses. So it really helps a lot. So,
It keeps the program going.
yeah, so thanks to the legislators for
So, yeah.
stepping up to that.
Well,
Right.
I mean, it's nice to keep the program going, but
And
honestly,
the
the thought
businesses.
was to bring as much money into the county as possible. So
Right.
this leverages it, that is.
Mhm.
Exactly,
And,
exactly.
yeah,
So
So,
great.
yeah.
So, and I see you have in here an
Oh,
article.
yeah, W's Pizza, wood burning, you know, pizza, she started.
Indoor
Yeah,
tailgate.
she
games.
started 3 years ago, her food truck, pizza truck. And then she decided she was going to go further and have a gaming center, and it's called Doobie's Tailgate. And oh my God, I visited, it's so cool. I mean, so the first day she opened last week, she was mobbed, and it's games for, you know, adults and kids. And she's going to extend it to a restaurant with her pizza, and going to get an alcohol license, and she does bands. So, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's gonna be a bar restaurant,
Yeah,
you know. I mean, we don't have that, right?
No,
So,
no.
yeah.
a good
it's-
example of a
it's-
At the
graduated
Pratt
program.
The-
Or
yeah.
Pratt Street.
Issue.
Yeah,
Where is it?
the,
164 Pratt, I believe.
Pratt.
Yeah.
The Albion Industrial Center
yeah,
that's been on the corner of Pratt and 31 across from the Village House.
right.
That
Oh,
compound,
oh, okay.
yeah.
Oh, okay,
Where,
okay.
Yeah.
Leading chemical used to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so if you
Yeah,
guys
okay.
ever want to visit it, I mean, it's, yeah, she's, and then she's gonna go through my course again and participate in the grant.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's, we've had quite a few businesses open up this year, the Wildflower Deli. I don't know if you guys have gone there yet.
They said the food's really good.
Her sandwiches and soups are to die for. And now she's got little seating areas. And Dorothy Daniels, who owns Dollinger Building, she's expanding it. She's gonna have a juicing, a
So
juice.
where is that?
That's on West Avenue the old Ballinger building on the
Right in front of the
left-hand side.
hotel.
Remember Albany's restaurant?
Yeah.
Stay up there.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
really? Oh,
Yeah,
Right in front of
yeah.
those hotel
All
rooms.
So, yeah, if you get a chance.
Yeah.
And then the Hotspot, who had a food truck, he does hamburgers and hats, and he's gonna have a kitchen there. So yeah, she's expanding that into like a small
Yeah, I remember you
food
said
court
that.
type
Yep,
thing.
yep, yep,
Yeah, so that's very exciting. And then our bakery, Pretty Sweet Bakery, she's expanded, and yeah, we've had tons of businesses
Yep, yep.
open up this year.
Awesome.
Yeah, so,
And thanks for your help and work, Diane, to help them
yeah,
get off the ground.
Thanks for your contacts. That's good.
yeah.
Okay, moving on. Pilot report, Diane.
So all the pilots are out for the county and town taxes. I'm waiting for those to come back in. So,
Okay. Legal. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning. Just a quick update. There's a bill on the governor's desk for signature that would extend the remote meetings authorization beyond tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it does expire in the legislature tomorrow, but it's expected to be signed. So I was actually watching my phone to see if we had an update on that, but I think that'll probably happen today.
Right.
So,
Well, yeah, I think we need to keep an eye on it because who knows where this is going, but we might. I know more and more municipal boards have gone to remote, and we might have to go that route as well, so we'll have to keep an eye on it.
Okay,
Okay,
are they gonna extend the board moratorium? Isn't it end on tomorrow too?
I think it does, and I haven't followed that as closely as the other piece said. I would expect that that's probably.
Yeah, that's my guess
I'd be
too.
shocked if they don't,
Yeah.
because there hasn't been enough noise for it not to be extended to, right? So that's a big debate.
And you got people that haven't paid. I had one that's well before COVID, we just started the action.
okay, moving on. Marketing, Michael.
Yeah, so we've been working diligently with Mindful Media on a couple of items. I'm not gonna say a couple items, a lot of items, as it relates to funding, how we're working marketing, and as well as what are those dollars are going to turn around to be. So Dina's working this quarter to do like a full sweep through our website, our hard print documents, what we have totaled out there, what we have for online items out there, and taking a look at everything out there, compiling it, and we're going to start looking at, what do we need to do and potentially rebranding it in the marketplace. Whether it's different wording, different designs, different logos, we're going to start working on that to see how kind of approach we're going to be taking moving forward strategically. She's also working with National Grid on some grants for us. These grants are going to help with the marketing costs. Some of these hard dollars that it takes to get some of these, print items done, as well as some of the marketing on the media standpoint, digitally, as we start to approach the venture with looking at targeting Canada more than what we have in the past. The National Grid grants it's something she's been working with very diligently it's the person out of Buffalo, correct, Gay?
Yes, he heads the Buffalo.
He heads the Buffalo
Jen
office.
Kucharski.
And
Oh, no, Cuiaba.
yeah. And Dean's has a great working relationship right now with him and helping. It was a certain grant program, and then she's kind of worked it in the way to give ideas of, well, we are, as Orleans County, we have multiple municipalities within us. We only fit into certain cookie cutter holes. But if you open this up in a certain way, we can fulfill the entire county and encompass it in a way that we can target each of the municipalities in a specific way, and then find the grants to get our marketing dollars to then market and then target business parks, our towns, municipalities, so on and so forth, to help, instead of us putting money in all the time for our marketing, it's now finding grants that are going to help supplement that. And this is a big project for her because it's going to take a lot of work. So a lot of updates are going on with the federal level too, with getting updates for their DUNS number, and there's a big overhaul on that. So they're going back in and updating DUNS and potentially secure down the road opportunities if there is an opportunity for grants and such like that. These certain things have to get filled out in a certain way, and we have to have backup data from National Grid, talking about surveys from municipalities of what our basically census are saying, to help fulfill that. So that's gonna be a big target these first few months with Dina and us to really get that and help find these dollars to help pay for the marketing that we have minimal for right now. We have X amount, but the more marketing dollars we can have and we can exhaust filling with grants, it's going to help us down the long run. So more to come as this starts to roll out. We're not going to have any real big announcements probably till end of Q1, but more to come on that.
Great. Questions? Okay, moving on. I would like to entertain a motion to move into executive session for the purpose of discussion of possible acquisition and sale of real property, as well as discussion of personnel matter. So motion made by Skip, seconded by Carol. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nay, the motion is unanimously carried. We are now in executive session. Running. Okay, any unfinished business? Hearing none, moving to new business, 2022 mission statement and measurement report.
So we do this annually, review our mission statement, as well as measurement goals for ourselves year over year. We are not planning on changing the mission statement. I think Jim and team has done a great job at having that established. The 2022 measurement goals are as follows. We are looking at a goal of securing capital investment commitments of $1 million. Goal creation for 50 jobs for the 2022 calendar year, as well as a goal of $50,000 in securing funding for shovel-ready sites. Obviously, that will be a component that as we work with Mindful Media Group for grants and such, that's where that really comes into play. As a comparison, as we look at this prior year, securing capital investment commitments, a light year, I would probably say. Really, we've induced two projects, Big Guys Campground and Heritage Wind projects. Two of which, from a job standpoint, Big Guys Campground is going to produce about 8 jobs, and Heritage Wind actual jobs is about 6. So looking at 14 jobs here, but that does not include all the construction jobs that were created because of that set aside. As comparison for funding commitments for shovel ready, I think we learned a lot this past year of how to go about the grant process of securing that funding for projects and getting sites ready, whether it's environmental engineering, historic and wetland review, items such as that. I think we're shed some light on where we have avenues to really go after state and federal funding to achieve that. And I think, as a whole, have made an announcement that her goal is to look at advanced manufacturing and more shovel-ready sites. I think that's going to open more doors for us to find that extra funding that we need, instead of us continuing to put our project dollars in that we can secure state and federal dollars as they're available, and Mindful Media will work with us on the grant or funding process of getting our application set up to get that done and completed. But that's kind of a year-over-year measurement comparison of what we've looked at from 21 to 22. Obviously, I think now I've got a full 10 months in now that as we look forward, we'll have a better picture of what we need to do exactly. And, there's some things in the pipeline project-wise that will hopefully come to fruition, and we can talk about more job creation on that end. And then the rest of the document discusses the self-evaluation period as well. And then obviously the government certification questions below that. Acknowledging understood the mission statement and public authority and all. And then any questions on that?
If not, I'll be happy to entertain a motion to accept the 2022 mission statement and measurement report. John, seconded by Ed. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion unanimously carried. You have in your packet a board evaluation form. My suggestion is,
I just have one question.
Oh,
I
please.
I think that if we're gonna have measurements, it probably would be good to revisit last year's measurements and just have an update on that.
Mhm.
That as we create new measurements. So, it just seems,
that's a great point.
why have a measurement if we never look at it?
Sure.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Thank you, Carol. We'll do that.
Yeah.
Okay, you do have an evaluation form. My suggestion is fill it out, leave it on the table before you leave today, because if you're like me, you'll forget. Item next, consider a 6-month extension of incentives from a previous resolution for Medina Hospitality.
This is the hotel project. As Gay alluded to earlier, Medina Hospitality is having to go back in and correct a lot of items. And their sales tax exemption, ST60 has expired, so we need to go back in and extend that and get that updated. So with your permission, I'd like to have that resolution extended out for another 6 months for the team of Medina Hospitality to get that hotel project done, completed, and up and going.
Okay, we have a motion by Skip to consider that extension, to put that extension into place for 6 months. Second,
Do you want to add something like, because of COVID or anything like that, just to show that, the delay was worthy to add that information that extended?
No, I mean, I think that the background of what happened with the project is relevant, and I think the fact that Ed has brought it up in a public meeting is probably enough from that standpoint. The question will be if we can close the project within 6 months, right? So this may come back to the board. What triggered this is the sales tax exemption piece, but the project itself has not been closed through the IDA yet, right? So the resolution that you adopted that's in front of you now is what we're really doing is extending that out, right? And that by virtue of that also extends out the sales tax. So we have not closed the project, right? It's not done yet. So hopefully all those pieces come into place, and we are talking about a closing on the IDA project within the next 6 months, but it could come back.
Okay.
So is that okay?
6 months is when.
6 months enough?
I'm going to push the 6 months.
All right.
I'm going
You want
to,
to have the 6 as a, like a, you have
that's
the
why
more
I will have, I'm going to,
yeah.
I'll do the best I can.
It's moving again. I think we gotta keep it.
I'll second it.
okay, so we have a motion by Skip, seconded by Ed. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is unanimously carried. Any other new business? Hearing none, I'd be happy to entertain a motion to adjourn. Ed, seconded by John. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. We are unanimously adjourned at 10:01 a.m. At this time, I'd like to call to order a meeting of the Orleans County Land Restoration Corporation Board of Directors meeting on Friday, January 14th, 2020.